The risk assessment grid that we will be using in this module was adapted from the Anderson 2007 Doctoring Risk Responding to Risk-Taking article that's required reading for this module. This grid is a useful way to conceptualize the likelihood of harm in a given situation, as well as the degree of harm should injury be sustained. To use the grid, the likelihood of harm is plotted along the x-axis, with higher likelihood being located further to the right of the grid and a lower likelihood being plotted to the left. The severity of harm is then plotted along the y-axis, with a higher severity being located closer to the top and a lower severity being plotted closer to the bottom. For any given scenario, you should determine both the likelihood and severity of harm and should make a single X on the grid to represent where this injury falls. For example, let's take the scenario of a senior captain on your Division I women's volleyball team who sustained a grade 1 lateral ankle sprain during a preseason practice 2 days ago. She has not participated in any team-related activity since, but has asked if she can join the team lifting session this afternoon. She feels it is important for both team bonding and to show leadership, but also to maintain her fitness level. The focus of today's lift is legs, and there is Nautilus equipment available in addition to free weights. So what we're going to do is we want to plot our X on the grid where we think the likelihood and severity of harm for this injury exists. So if we look first at likelihood, we have an individual with a grade 1 lateral ankle sprain who wants to participate in a team lift using primarily Nautilus equipment. So we could agree risk of injury is never going to be 0. So the likelihood of harm is not going to be all the way in that corner, but it's probably fairly low given the type of equipment that she's using. Okay? But we can't just leave our X there. We have to also consider the severity of the harm. So should she invert her ankle more? What's the severity of harm that's likely given that she already has a grade 1 ankle sprain? So we may decide in this case the severity of harm, possibly re-spraining an ankle that's still healing. We're not thinking the severity is that high. So I may find that I place her right here on the grid. If we had a scenario that was plotted right here in this lower left area of the grid, that would represent a low likelihood for long-term consequences or serious repercussions should an injury be sustained. However, a scenario that we would plot in the upper right aspect of the grid would indicate that the likelihood of harm is high, and if sustained, the damage would be severe.